So now our final story of the day, a bit of another kicker here, is the talk about TikTok, because we haven't heard a lot about what's happening with that. There's potentially going to be a ban in the United States, and then all of a sudden we never stop talking about it again. So here is a news report by X here saying Kevin O'Leary, nears deal for TikTok US amid looming ban. A potential ban on TikTok in the United States, scheduled for January 19, 2025, has spurred interest from Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary, who claims to be close to acquiring the platform's U.S. assets. The deal's success reportedly hinges on assistance from Donald Trump. The Supreme Court is fast-tracking a hearing on the matter, reflecting the urgency of the situation. Meanwhile, TikTok users and the broader digital community expressed varied reactions, from sadness over potential content lost to skepticism about the platform's future and security concerns. Well, it's the classic rags to riches story when a high-tech billionaire, someone like Kevin O'Leary, buys a platform, a social media outlet, to suppress the content that could critique his family and their potential murder plots. Allegedly. The case involving his wife and the boating accident that happened in Canada here. So here is Fox News, where he got on to talk with them about the potential bid to take TikTok. This is from a couple of months ago. But here is him announcing that he's interested in taking over TikTok. God only knows why. We don't really know for sure. He says he's a, advocate for free speech, but so do a lot of billionaires, so do Elon Musk, and look where that turned out. So here's what he said.
House lawmakers expected to vote on a major TikTok crackdown. That's coming this Wednesday. Now, the measure would ban, or at least possibly force, the sale of the app to someone not affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party. Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary is going to join us now, and he says he might.
So I just want to state that, of course, Fox News is going to go with the original establishment manufactured narrative to say this is about China, that we don't want this application going to our children and going to people using it that's going to be swept up by the Chinese Communist government. And as we exposed before, none of that is actually true. None of that's actually true. And in fact, if you look at the Chinese government, you look at China, the country as a whole, they banned TikTok. They don't even use it. They have their own applications. They have their own platforms that they can harness information from. But you know who is on board for the potential ban? People like the ADL, as we discussed earlier last year about this, that when the bans were coming into effect, that this notion, the ADL expressed their opinions on how we need to crack down on people because people were getting influenced to think that the genocide is a genocide. And also the fact that we have seen testimony by TikTok Corporation and the CEO, who was from Singapore, who went to Congress to plead with Congress that we should not be banning this social media platform. So everybody knows about this, but they're going to use the official narrative to scare people into this decision policy. Listen to this.
Might be one of those people who's interested then in buying TikTok. So, Kevin, great to have you this morning. I'm going to have to ask you to help me understand, okay? Because I'm just, I'm a morning show, talk show host. You're
First of all, that is a very, very looming resting face there. When you cut the camera to that, to a guy who looks like he just had a ransom bowl of oatmeal, and he's trying to flaunt the idea of buying a social media company, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. It'd be like a Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns wants to buy out, I don't know, Springfield Book. I think that was already probably an episode. As South Park mentions, the Simpsons already did it.
Mr. Wonderful. How do you I mean, first of all, if the House did this, how do you force ByteDance to divest of TikTok? I don't even know how you feasibly do that when it's so connected to a government entity like the CCCP.
Well, I'm not going to do that. Order of law is going to do that. The company's got itself in trouble before. This issue won't go away. Let me preface my remarks by saying I admire the Chinese people, the advancements in culture and technology and science that they brought over the thousands of years. I just don't trust the Chinese government, and it turns out either does Congress.
Listen, I admire the Chinese people and their inspiration, their innovation. That's why I tell all my future entrepreneurs on my television programs, you got to send the jobs over there because they can work cheap. That's what's so great about them. But the Chinese government is just another thing. I mean, God damn it on them. They're great when they take the jobs away from, Canadians and Americans that are just looking for living wages and unionized benefits. But when it comes to the government, oh no, they're very, very much censorship, as opposed to us. We're just friendly censorship. You don't like to censor people. We're just suggesting that we crack down on college campus protests. We're just suggesting that we diminish a social media platform, one of the biggest well-known used in the world. We're just suggesting. Well, as they say, the difference between China and U.S. censorship is at least China knows they're being censored. Chinese people know that their country and their government is a communist government. They know that they're being censored and propagandized and monitored and all this stuff. The United States doesn't. North America doesn't. The West still thinks that, oh, look at funny colors. They're not spying on me. That's not the case.
Now, let me give you an example. I have two phones. This is my TikTok phone. It's crippled. It has no data on it about me or my businesses. Here's my regular phone. That's how you deal with TikTok. Everybody knows it leaks data to the Chinese. I mean, it's not a secret. It's been around for years. So,
again, as opposed to what other application that also does the exact same thing? Like, you're never going to get away from data mining. Unfortunately, you're never going to get away from this. To think that blocking TikTok is going to stop the surveillance of your personal data, that's not the case. No matter where you go on the internet, no matter where you go on your phone, no matter if you don't even have a phone, because people like to use the argument that, well, it's your guys' fault that you have these smartphones and you go on the internet. I'm not one of those people. I don't go on the internet. Well, you live in a big metropolitan area. You go towards your downtown. What are those things in the corner of the buildings? Those are security cameras that send information. They're tracking your data and sends it to government officials. It sends it to local law enforcement. And those cameras have the ability to scan your face and bring up your data. That's what all this biometrics surveillance is turning into. That's what these new generation cameras are turning into. So, unless you're one of those nomads that live in the mountainside and don't even have a birth certificate, you are being monitored. You are being surveilled. Your data is being possessed, whether you like it or not, whether you have consent or not, without you even knowing it.
Oh, it's a very important platform, and this issue is not going away. So
Right.
if this order goes through, it's got to be sold. I'm going to put up my hand and say I'll buy it, and I'll tell you why. I'd like to do it this way. Form a committee of 2 members of Red and Blue that were part of making this bill, and say you'll be the oversight committee for the next 18 months. What I'm proposing is purchasing these assets into a new American company. I'll guarantee the servers are on American soil. I'll guarantee we'll close the Chinese backdoors in the code. I'll guarantee it becomes safe for the users, the parents, small business and large business. It'll be an American company. I would ask permission to leave 20-30% with the Chinese people because they'll have a non-control passive position. They will not control the board. They will have no say in how we operate the company. And they'll, therefore, will resolve this issue around free speech. Nobody wants
Kevin,
to lose
let me jump
the
in
app.
there.
So Kevin O'Leary is making the pitch to say that if he buys TikTok, this is going to be the all-American dream. This is going to be the all-American brand, that we're going to close the doors of foreign adversaries coming in and taking that data, and it's going to be in America only. It's going to be overseas by Americans. It's going to be safer for users and so on and so forth. Again, that is the dream. That's the pitch that he's trying to sell you. But we know from looking into other companies and other tech platforms, how many times has an American company sent their data overseas for the highest buck? You look at places like Google. You look at places like YouTube. You look at places like Reddit. You look at Meta. You look at even Elon Musk. Because data has become the new currency for these billionaires. They find more value with your personal data and collecting that on you than they would your money. Because they can use that data to market things to you. They can suggest spamming you with different content, different emails or what have you. And they can also manipulate you. You know, think of when J. Edgar Hoover was part of the FBI. What made him such a powerful figure is because he had the dirt on everybody. He had information, and information is power. So, again, don't get your false hopes up to think that TikTok being bought into the American sphere of things is going to diminish this idea that we're ending that the surveillance state will not exist because we're getting away from China. That is not the case. The surveillance state is a global occupation. It's already taken effect, and all these platforms outside of TikTok are already accused of this. And Kevin O'Leary buying it is no doubt no exception. So, here's the Daily Beast pointing out Shark Tank host says he's cutting a deal to buy TikTok U.S. assets. They say Kevin O'Leary says he has a plan to save TikTok from a U.S. ban. The investor of Shark Tank fame told Fox News he and his former Los Angeles Dodgers owner, Frank McCourt, have teamed up with other businessmen to raise funds to purchase the Beijing-based social media giant U.S. assets. O'Leary, a Montreal native who lives in Miami Beach and is an ally of incoming President-elect Donald Trump, says he is part of a multi-billion-dollar deal, one that is critical for Americans who hope to use TikTok beyond January 20th. That's the date of a ban will be put in place if TikTok's parent company ByteDance is unable to sell off its U.S. assets to an American or American company. O'Leary said the deal will require bipartisan support, adding that he plans to inform both Joe Biden, who signed a bill that threatened a ban in the first place, and Donald Trump of this deal. We're going to need their help, O'Leary said. It's unclear how much of a deal would cost. TikTok itself is estimated to be worth as much as $100 billion, ByteDance has claimed. But O'Leary's deal is focused on only the app's U.S. assets and its 170 million users who are based here. O'Leary is worth an estimated $400 million, and McCourt is worth an estimated $1.4 billion. Concerns about TikTok have been around since Trump's first presidency. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have expressed concerns that the social media network might double as a spyware app for the Chinese government. Everyday Americans, however, are much less likely to support the ban, Pew Research found. Just 32% of U.S. survey respondents said that they are in favor of the app being taken down here. And presumably, I would assume that it's because many people who go onto TikTok, who initially started up on TikTok, this was started to be kind of this outsider force that once YouTube was taken over by Google and in bed with the CIA and the tech industry kind of morphed itself into this technocratic feudalist state, that they saw TikTok as being kind of this outsider force. And they were seeing a lot more people on TikTok expressing, anti-establishment rhetoric and questioning COVID and questioning the 2020 election and so on and so forth. Things that the mainstream outlets don't want you to know about. And now we're seeing more and more of it being demised out of TikTok because TikTok is caving itself to the US imperialist system, to the FBI and the CIA. And people are aware of this. People are not folding to this. They're not dumb to not understand that this is done intentionally. That the reason they want to ban an application like this has far less to do with spyware and Chinese influence and more to do with the fact that there's an application that they can't seize control and they can't control the narrative. And that's problematic. That's problematic. That's why, on top of this, they're also looking at places like Rumble. Because Rumble is a kind of a free speech advocate on a platform and they need to take control of it. TikTok has gone to great lengths to stop a ban, including the filing of a lawsuit against the federal government, but have had since no significant success to date. They may soon have a U.S. president in power that is more open to striking a deal. However, Trump's lawyers told the Supreme Court last month that they will not need to weigh in on a challenge to ban, to challenge to the ban if they hold off on taking action until he returns to the Oval Office, which is set to be due one day after the ban is set to go in place. President Trump alone possesses the consummate deal-making expertise, the electoral mandate, and the political will to negotiate a resolution to save the platform while addressing the national security concerns, wrote Joe Sawyer, who was Trump's nominee for U.S. Solicitor General, in the filing. Trump clamored on the campaign trail that he would save TikTok, but stopped short on saying how he would do so while protecting Americans' users' privacy, and a concern that spans representative of both parties. The Supreme Court is scheduled to hear oral arguments for TikTok's challenge on Friday. So, there you go. Another billionaire looking to buy up a platform to make it America first and making this generalized speech about how we're going to save it away from foreign adversaries and foreign influence, and it's going to be this free speech absolutist and all the same rhetoric you've heard time and time before. And it just seems like it's just going to be another scam, another playbook for them to seize control of TikTok, to control the narrative. And it's already happening right now. You're seeing TikTok influencers and journalists that use the application that are being demonetized, that are being kicked off. The Jimmy Dore Show lost their TikTok account. I have had TikToks that were banned because of certain rhetoric or stories or news coverage that I presented to that platform. So it's already taken effect. And having Kevin O'Leary being the arbiter to buy the platform and raise this money while doing this stymied pitch to Fox, claiming that he's going to make it wholesome and safer for everybody, just doesn't seem like the case. It doesn't seem like the case. We've already gone in through, the Twitter files. We've already seen Michael Schellenberg and people like Matt Taibbi already expose a lot of these big tech giants of their exploitation to make it seem like it's a reliable platform. But in the end, these notorious businesses that are, money-hungry businesses take the opportunity to use their users as part of the product. That's pretty much what social media is. You are the product. They're not selling you a service. They're selling you, your information, your accounts, your views. And if it doesn't suit well with advertisers, if it doesn't suit well with government officials, if it doesn't suit well with the intelligence agencies, if it doesn't suit well with any other billionaires that want to invest into it, that's where they tackle down on you. and say it's your fault. It's your responsibility to put safe rhetoric on there. It's your responsibility to put correct narratives on there. We don't need misinformation or disinformation. And that's why they want to buy it off of China, even though China has nothing to do with it. China bans TikTok. They already have their own applications. The general CEO that runs TikTok comes out of Singapore. And if America has a tough time just figuring out between China and Singapore, then oh my God, I don't think you need to buy TikTok. You need to buy yourself a set of atlases or an encyclopedia, for God's sakes. But this is just to seize control and control the narrative. And obviously, ADL is on board with this. Apex on board with this. A lot of corporations are on board with this. The intelligence agencies are on board with this. But push comes to shove, this is just another way to seize control of a platform that's slowly steering itself to the skids of the establishment control. And it's not going to be this free speech platform that everyone thinks it's going to be.